Hello all, this is a very small introduction to the famous Indian English writer Kamala Suraya with a pen name Madhavikutty. Kamala Das was born at Punnayurkulam in southern Malabar in 1934 and was educated mainly at home. Hailing from an illustrious family which has a fine cultural background, her poetic style has a freshness and vigor seldom displayed by any other Indo-Anglian poet. Her poetry is noted for its powerful passion, confessional strain, and autobiographical themes. Most of her poems are remarkable for their power and raw truth. A bilingual writer, her works in English and Malayalam include Summer in Calcutta, The Descendants, The Old Playhouse and Other Poems, and My Story, an autobiography. A few of her stories, originally written in Malayalam, are published in Modern Indian Short Stories and Anthology. She was given the Poetry Award of the Asian Pen Anthology in 1964 and the Kerala Sahitya Academy Award in 1969 for Gold, a collection of short stories in Malayalam. The term confessional was first used to describe the kind of poetry that Robert Lowell wrote in his life studies. Over the years, this new trend has developed into the confessional school of poetry with certain well-defined characteristics. The confessional poets have a capacity for ruthless self-analysis and a tone of utter sincerity. They speak in terms of an I, emphasized lyricism, and give us a psychological equivalent of the mental state. The poetry of Kamala Das has many of the qualities of confessional poetry. She has dealt with the private humiliations and sufferings which are the stock themes of confessional poetry. Her frank admissions and bold treatment of private life are very much in keeping with the nature of this style. The poem The Suicide carries the most vital elements of confessional poetry. Here, the conflict is between the world as it is and the personal experience of the poet given in terms of the symbols of the body and the soul. The poem is a monologue addressed to the sea. Kamala Das is concerned with herself as a victim. Sexual humiliation becomes a central experience in her autobiography, My Story. The Old Playhouse is a variation of the same theme. All her quests for love end in disasters of lust. The sterility and vacant ecstasy that accompany the dance of the eunuchs correspond to her own feeling of persecution and inadequacy. The image of the body as a prison, which recurs in her poems, may be traced to this deep existential anxiety that pervades all confessional poetry. Confessional poetry is a struggle to relate the private experience with the outer world as it is. Such a struggle is seen in the poems of Kamala Das. In An Introduction, she struggles to keep her identity against the categories who ask her to fit in. Having refused to choose a name and a role, she feels it necessary to define her identity. I am saint, I am the beloved and the betrayed. I have no joys which are not yours, no aches which are not yours. I too call myself I. The painful assertion, I too call myself I, comes from the predicament of the confessional poet. Her experiences are too common and ordinary to give her special identity. But the I which experiences them, she insists, is separate and unique. This, to her, is the only way to retain her sense of personal worth in the world of categories. To Kamala Das, death has none of the charms of a mystic experience. The escapes she seeks in physical love are also suicides in the sense that they affect a temporary merging of dualities within oneself. The moods of a confessional poet are diverse and shifting. Confessional poetry is all autobiographical to the extent of being nostalgic. It is intensely personal. Kamala Das is able to transform her intense personal experience into a general truth. Her own predicament and her own suffering become symbolic of human predicament and suffering. She is intensely personal and universal. The tone of Kamala Das's poems is distinctively feminine. It is as though she lays bare a feminine heart without reservations. Srinivasa Iyengar says, Kamala Das is a fiercely feminine sensibility that dares without inhibitions to articulate the hurts that it has received in an intensive, largely man-made world. Kamala Das's feminine sensibility is not to be found in her frank confessions of her sexual life or in a detailed description of female organs. It is seen in her attitude to love, in the ecstasy when she experiences love, and the agony when she expresses fear over the loss of youth and beauty in poems like Beauty Was a Short Season. In the music party, the woman desires to feel the warmth of love while the music lasts, is followed by the pain of dereliction when left alone. Her femininity is revealed by being lovelorn without a word to say. Her Jay Surya and Afterwards are the best expressions of feminism. The mother's overwhelming love for the unseen child is revealed clearly in the choosing of a name for the child even before he is born. The woman in her adores the child. Instances of feminine sensibility are seen particularly in those poems where she writes in the person of Radha waiting for Krishna to redeem her suffering. In Afterwards, she thinks of the child's future in the world and is grieved at the very thought of his suffering. Here is another instance of her feminine sensibility. Feminine sensibility stresses emotional bond which only women poets can achieve. This is all. Thank you.